that I went to visit was in her wheelchair out in what they call the common area, kind of like a living room setup, so they don't spend all day in their rooms. And I walked up to her and I tapped her on the shoulder, and she woke up and she said, I looked at her and I said, "How are you today?" And she kind of had a puzzled look and she says, "I think I'm doing okay." She said, "How are you?" I said, "I am blessed." Then she still had that puzzled look on her face, so I said, "Do you know who I am?" And she thought for a second, and she said, "No, but if you talk to those nice ladies at the desk over there, they can tell you who you are." You know, to some people, who we are is very important, right? And to some, it's not. It's not that important that people know who we are. Some of us would just like to be invisible, I guess you could say. But others want to stand out in the crowd. And they want people to know them and know who they are. And it's a mistake that we make because we don't really know some people. I mean, look at society today, right? All of these celebrities and all that we thought we knew were people of virtue. We find out that some of them are the worst of the worst. Partially because we didn't really know them. We knew about them, about their public life. Their private life was not so much. So you see, we're challenged today to understand the difference about knowing someone or knowing about someone. You know, and how do we get to know someone? Okay, we have to spend time with them. You have to know them as much of their private life as they do their public. And those people who their life is no different, whether they're in private or in public, are the ones that's easiest to get to know. And as Catholic Christians today, we are called to know who Jesus Christ is in our life. A while back, I was listening to a priest, as I told y'all I like to listen to some of these lectures and these talks, and he was talking about the 23rd Psalm. And he said, he says the 23rd Psalm, it says, "As though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because you are at my side with your rod and your staff." And then he asked the question, he said, "But do we know Jesus, or do we just know about Jesus? Because if we just know about him, we are going to fear evil when we walk through that dark valley. And we all, at some point in our life, will walk through that dark valley. If we only know about Jesus, we are going to fear evil. Because we're not that sure about who it is that's at our side. But if we know Jesus, if he is an important part of our life, if we speak to him every day, and we know him personally, and we have that relationship with him, then we know he's there to protect us. We know he's there to walk with us. In the second reading today, it says, James tells us that if we have faith and not works, then our faith is dead. Because you see, if we really have faith, if we are true to what we say that we believe, that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, it should motivate us to action. Because we should be going out to do the things that need to be done. We need to be his hands and his feet and his mouth. We need to be Jesus Christ to the rest of the world. Yesterday I was working a retreat with a bunch of ladies, and I got a shocked look on their face when I told them, I said, Jesus Christ is not calling us to be good people. Jesus Christ is not calling us to be good Christians. Jesus Christ is calling us to be disciples. Jesus Christ is calling us to learn the will of the Master, to surrender ourselves to him so that we can follow him and do his will in this life, so that we can live with him forever in the next. That's what Jesus Christ is calling us to do. You see, at the end of the gospel, when he says about taking up your cross, if you really understood what was going on in that time in the world, that was a very radical statement, because people didn't want anything to do with the cross, because it meant crucifixion. And Jesus Christ is telling us to take up our cross and follow Him, to surrender ourselves to Him so that He can be with us and to help us carry that cross. Because if we know who Jesus Christ is, He's going to help us bear that cross. If we know and have that relationship with Jesus Christ, we know who He is and where He is. And when that dark valley comes, or those crosses that we are handed to bear, they won't be so bad. Because Jesus Christ will be there to help us bear the weight. When we get handed that cross, that cancer diagnosis, or Alzheimer's, dementia, if we lose a family member, whatever our crosses may be, a rift in our family that people don't talk to each other, unemployment, hunger, whatever our cross may be in our life, if we have Jesus Christ, that cross will be easier to bear. If we just know about Him, and we try to carry our crosses on our own, those crosses get very heavy. Because Jesus Christ wants to help us carry that cross. And that's what He's telling us in today's gospel. That if we surrender to Him, then He'll always be there for us. And one of the common misconceptions that you hear in the world today is that, Jesus Christ went to Calvary and He did everything for us. But that's not what He's telling us in today's gospel. He's telling us that we still have things to do, because He didn't say, I'm going to take my cross and I'm going to go to Calvary and I'm going to be crucified and you don't have anything to do. To be His disciple, we have to take up our cross and follow Him. We have to be willing to surrender our will to His, to do the work that He is calling each and every one of us to do, no matter what it is. But we have to listen to Him. We have to have that conversation with Him. If we don't have that conversation, if we don't stop and listen, we may never hear what He's telling us. Jesus Christ is calling us to be His disciples. Each and every one of us. He's calling us and He's challenging us. At the beginning of the gospel, it says that as they were walking down the road, He asked the disciples, who do people say that I am? And He could be talking to us, or about us. Who do they say that I am? And the disciples came up with different answers, and we could probably come up with just as many. But you see, Jesus is not asking us that first question. Because He's calling us to be His disciples, He's asking us that second question. But who do you say that I am? He's asking each and every one of us to look into our hearts, to understand how much we know Jesus Christ, so that we can give an answer to Him, like Peter did. You are the Christ. You are my Lord and Savior. You are the Master. Jesus Christ is calling us to be His disciples. He's asking us to answer that call and to follow Him so that He can help us bear our crosses. Often in my homilies with a question, but today I don't have a question to ask you. See, Jesus is asking the question today. And His question is, who do you say that I am?